Hello friends, welcome back to Learn Python Programming on Mobile Phone Programming series. In the previous class, we have seen how to define a variable in Python programming. So in this class, we will discuss about data types. So first question, what is a data type? Data type basically defines the type of the data. So whether it is a numerical value or a textual data or anything else. So that will be defined using these data types. So basically, Python supports three types of data in Python programming. The first one is, okay, let me define it here. Okay, the first one is numerical data, and second one is Boolean, or we can say bool in short form, and third one is strings. So when you look at numerical, you might have already understood what is a numerical data. Okay, so in numerical data, again, we have three types. Okay, so like integer, which is a whole number, right? So integer and floating means the decimal points, and the finally is a complex numbers. Okay, so these are the three types of numerical data can be processed in Python program. And when you come to the second one, bool or boolean, okay, so this is basically used, okay, to validate a given condition is true or false. Okay, so boolean will have only true or false. We will discuss more about these things when you in the future classes. So if you don't understand what do I mean by bool, please bear with me, and definitely in the future classes you will understand what is this data type. Okay, and the next one is a string. String is nothing but a sequence of characters. In our first program, we wrote hello world, right? So hello world is nothing but a string. Okay, so string can contain one or more characters. Okay, so these are the three basic data types that are supported by Python. Okay, so first let's discuss about numerical values in Python programming. So for that, what I will do is I will create a new file called data types. Okay, so that I can share with you guys. So for creating a new file in Dcoder, what do? We click on start coding, and after that we choose files option, and here Python 3, and here we need to give the file name. Okay, so I am giving it data types because we are discussing about data types here. So this is the default template code. I will just simply remove this one. In this class, we will discuss about numerical values. Okay, the first thing. So integers. So integers are like normal, regular whole numbers. Okay, so let's say something like this, 10. Okay, let's say you have like 300. So all these are numerical values, and if you want to do any operations on this data, you are free to do. So what all we can do, I mean, what all operations that are possible on numerical data, like addition is possible, division is possible, okay, multiplication, exponent, and even if you want to do something like some log values also, if you want to identify, we can do all those things on the numerical values. So you can apply that. Okay, next, moving on to the next one, which is a floating thing. Okay, floating values, the decimal points. So something like this, like 5.75. Okay, let's say something like yeah, you have a variable like b is equal to some 1.0. Okay, and one more thing, when you do any mathematical operation on floating points, what will happen? So floating value with another normal or floating value, when you multiply both the values, the output will also be a floating value. Okay, it's like a regular mathematical rules, guys. Okay, so there won't be anything extra here also. Okay, so that's about these floating data types. And finally, complex numbers. How can we define complex numbers? This is a very interesting part. Okay, so if you're doing something like some advanced mathematics in Python, this will be really useful. Okay, So how can we define a complex number? So let me take a variable like z. Okay, so in the complex number, there will be two parts. One, the normal number and the imaginary part, right? So something like this, 10 plus 5j. So you can directly define that in Python. So this is the one of the way of defining a complex number. And let's say something like, let me define a variable called complex number. And here there is a function called complex in Python. So using that, okay, using that also we can create a complex number. So let me give the same thing. So both the statements are equal here. Okay, so here I have directly used 10 plus 5j. Okay, and here I have used a complex function, which is a predefined function in Python. So just like a print function is used to display data on the screen, right? Similarly, this is a complex function which is used for creating complex numbers in Python program. Okay, so that's about defining numbers. Okay, that's about defining numerical data type in Python. And moving on to the next one, which is what is this? Boolean. Okay, so as I said, in Boolean data type, there are only two values. One is true and second one is false. Okay, something like this. And false is like a capital AISC. Okay, so remember the word. Okay, we have to use exact spelling, capital T TRUV, and for false, capital F ALSC. Okay, so these are the two only possible values for Boolean data type. So where it will be used and useful, it is basically used in validating the conditions. Let's say something like you are writing or developing a application, okay, for maybe like some restaurant, and that restaurant has a condition like the people who are coming to that restaurant should be, I mean, age should be greater than 18 years. Okay, so then what we have to do, we have to take, I mean, ask the user what is his age, and we have to validate here if his age is greater than 18. So the output of that validation, right, it will be true or false. Okay, if it is true, then only we should allow him. If it is false, we should not allow him. Okay, so that is where these Boolean data types comes into handy. Okay, so we'll discuss more about these things in the future classes. And let's move on to the next one, which is strings. So string is basically a sequence of characters. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, sequence of characters, just like your hello world. But we cannot simply say hello world in Python. Okay, but the string has to be wrapped inside double quotes. Then only it is called as a string in Python. Let's say something like I want to store my name. Okay, my name is nothing but it's a string, right? Sequence of characters. So it should be, okay, it should be wrapped inside this double quotes. Okay, so strings are defined in Python using double quotes. If you don't use double quotes, right, the Python will start complaining about it because Python doesn't know what is who is Hafiz. Okay, so this data is not defined in Python. So that's the reason the textual data, okay, the sequence of characters should be surrounded with double quotes or even in the single quotes as well. Okay, let me take another variable like f, and here let's say something like this. Okay, so even we can define strings in single quotes and even with the triple quotes as well. Okay, so let me show another variable like s is equal to, in the triple quotes, hello, how are you? Okay, so this is how we define strings in Python. Okay, so using double quotes, single quotes, and triple quotes. Okay, so that's about these three basic data types in Python. I hope you understand about these data types. Again, if you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below, and I will be happy to help you. And please do subscribe and share this video with your friends. I will meet you in the next video, and in the next video we will discuss more about strings. Till then, take care.